is like.
That's true.
Okay, we should be good now with our setup, I believe. That did nothing.
He's breaking.
As he knocks himself in the forehead.
You gotta manhandle these things to get them to go where they're supposed to.
That's what she said.
Okay. Hi, and welcome to the Y'all Ain't Right podcast. I'm Brittany. I'm here with Nick, Tyler, and Todd. And we do have a new set, thanks to Tyler and Todd.
Yeah, it's all set up now.
Yay.
Slightly new set,
Yeah.
but
I like it.
Rearranged.
we're moving towards it. Well, today we're going to be talking about mythical creatures, staying on the topic of Halloween month. And there are actually 5 weeks in this month, so there's 5 episodes.
Of course there is.
Is this like people that celebrate their birthday all month?
Yeah.
All month long?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Lakin does that. She's like, it's my birthday month. And I'm like,
I don't believe in that.
yeah, I slowly sprinkle things. It's easier. It's easier. Because I don't have to go all out on one day.
Where's the easy button?
I feel like you still have to go all out on her actual birthday, though, don't you? No?
No.
Okay.
Her
I used
Her own
to.
fault now.
Yeah.
And I would say now it's like, I think she actually gets less than when, but she gets it more often. So she's like, all right. So I guess it's a good
Instant
trade.
gratification.
Yeah.
With the cell phones and,
Instead of like
everyone
4
wants
pairs of shoes and a bunch of makeup and this, that, and the other, she gets like a pair of shoes every other week and then a little bit of makeup here and there. And she's happy as a clam. And I'm like, I saved $200. So,
Shoes and makeup.
yep.
I hope she
And
doesn't-
Cheez-Its.
And she
Well,
actually,
yeah, that's a given.
she's actually one of our listeners, so
Yep.
Yeah.
your plan is foiled.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Probably not. We can always, for a small fee, we could
We could edit that.
probably edit that out.
Clip that. Todd, say something that needs to be censored.
That's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, that happens at least once every episode.
I lasted through at least 8 or 10.
I know, and
If
then
not,
the wall just
yeah,
fell
whatever.
down, and it was F-bombs.
Getting more comfortable with it.
Yeah, he's getting in the flow of things, and his true self is
My
showing.
true self, yeah. The guardrails are off.
Oh, they're not that far off. I mean, I censor 1 or 2 words here and there.
I've stopped my, literally, physically, it hurts when you catch it that close.
He's like, I just want to finish it.
Well, what do you guys know about Bigfoot?
Oh, gosh.
Anything?
He's elusive.
He's elusive.
He has big feet.
He does. He does.
I used to watch that Squatch Hunter
No,
show.
you didn't.
Yes, I did.
I've watched
too.
it.
I
I've
did
watched
too.
it a few times.
Oh, it's so
more than
good.
once. Yeah,
It's so good.
There
It's
were like
interesting.
12 seasons
Why?
of the...
Wow, they kept it going? Mm-hmm. I didn't realize. I watched
feel like
maybe
the
the first 2 or
budget's-
3.
but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
pretty low on that.
I don't remember which one it was. It was the Bigfoot, whatever. But it was like 11 or 12 seasons.
Grab that
Wow.
stick
I didn't
and
know
beat
that.
it up against when they knock the trees.
Oh,
Oh.
Trying
yeah.
to get them to knock back.
Well, that's just, it's the weirdest thing to me. Like, to me, I guess, some of that stuff's pretty interesting to think about. A lot like the paranormal investigation stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, is it in this day and age, does it exist? There's no way. With all the tech that we have, it would have been documented at some point to great detail, I would think. But there are still tribes out there that have not been found.
They keep finding new
I
snakes.
know. So it's like,
and
I guess I can't technically go
Yeah.
that definitive, but I mean,
you would have thought by now with trail cams and everything
Yeah.
else, we would have caught something.
especially in America where they
Yeah.
think it's like in the what's the most active area for that? Is it the Northwest?
Yeah.
Like
probably
Washington
is.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that?
Just the more remote areas. Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe there's a chance, but yeah, with trail cams, hunters,
Yeah.
aerial
Well,
stuff.
even
all
what
the
we
time.
talked on a couple episodes before. I mean, how big the national forest
That's true.
is
Yeah.
and stuff. How many? But then again, we have trail cams everywhere over there with the Park Service and whatnot. And I mean,
Do you think it's a conspiracy?
no.
Do you think the Park Service knows about it and they're like, we cannot let this?
and that would scare people away? No, I think
Yeah.
that would bring more people. Because look how many people actually go to these festivals and stuff like that.
Well, I think the thought of it
Oh yeah,
brings more people. Like
I agree.
Tyler and I watching the show, it's like just the thought that it could potentially be real, but more importantly, you get to watch a bunch of morons act like idiots in the woods at night. That was the fun part for me.
It was super entertaining.
Yeah.
They
Good
did
TV.
they did do some cool stuff though, like similar
did.
similar to how Jay Adams did with
Yeah.
his using tech trying to do the investigations. They were using like thermal
they
camera
had, yeah,
drones.
thermal cams, drones. They had,
Recorder.
yeah, they had like
Yeah.
recorders. They had
Listen to the
devices that made sounds that they thought were on the same frequency as that. I was
Yeah.
just like, okay.
They were going high
I mean, they're
tech.
hardcore about it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like folklore in almost every single country that alludes to a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
like the Yeti in the
The Yeti.
Himalayas.
Well, you had the
Yeah.
abominable snowman.
The Yeti.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that was probably Eastern Europe and
That
Russia.
was, yeah, it was.
And then what did you have? What did the Indians? Do we know what they called it?
I saw the name, but I wasn't even going to attempt to.
Okay, gotcha. It was,
But it was essentially it. So the North American one, it was essentially saying that it was a hairy ogre that would steal children and food.
Yeah.
But then
What they
there's
call
like,
it? Was it actually Bigfoot or was it Sasquatch?
No, they called it. It was a Native American name that
Sasquatch sounds like a Native American kind
Sasquatch.
of
I think came out
origin.
of Canada,
Yeah.
Is that where that one came
Yeah.
out of Canada? Okay.
and Bigfoot. I think that name kind of came from
That's
the
very American.
1950s.
Bigfoot.
yeah.
They found a 16-inch footprint, and there was a news article about it that like
Yeah, but you got to think there's some men out there that have massive feet. Like wearing size 22, 23. It's like, how long do you think that is?
What size does Shaq wear?
That's to the cloud.
And then Florida and other southern states is the skunk ape.
The what?
Skunk,
Skunk
ape.
ape.
And then Virginia is the wood booger, which is funny.
They call Bigfoot the wood booger.
The
So
wood
we
booger.
literally have it broken down by state
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
different
yeah.
names.
It's
Okay.
like-
what does Tennessee call it?
Oh, I don't know if Tennessee's got. I think they just say
Probably Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Shaq wears a size 22.
Oh my
22.
gosh.
which is how many inches?
That's what I'm going to find out.
What
How
did
big is-
the in
Heel
Mexico?
to,
What did they call
The chupacabra.
it? Is that what they call it?
Well, I think.
is that the Bigfoot or is that like the little
I thought that was a little
rodent devil
Tasmanian devil
Oh,
kind
okay.
of thing. I think
Yeah.
that was a Tasmanian devil
Yeah.
kind of look.
Chupacabra translates to goat sucker. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Can we
It's-
fact check?
Sounds about right.
Can we fact check that
It's-
one?
I will fact check that one next.
Well,
I think he's right though, because I've seen some stuff about it.
yeah, it would basically what it.
My
would
brother
do,
told me.
It would leave. I've seen documentaries. I used
Those
to
are
watch
the
all
fun
this weird
facts you
stuff.
carry around in your
They have
brain?
documentaries
Yeah.
on it on like History Channel and stuff,
Yeah.
like of the weirdest things. Chupacabra is like a big time.
Yeah, no, I'm not agreeing. I'm just
like
going,
they are
Yeah.
scared to
People
death.
always
of
are.
that
My
thing.
brother told me.
Well, they call it that because they'll find their goats completely drained of blood and stuff, so that's what they call it. I don't
Goat sucker.
know. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
We called that Uncle Phil.
Yeah, I don't know.
Size 22 is basically 14 and a half or 14 3/4 inches long.
That's a huge foot.
Really?
Yeah, so
I would
size,
have thought it was
size
bigger.
23 is 15. I know. I kind of thought, I knew it wasn't relative to inches,
I mean,
like a size 22 and 22 inches, but I thought it would have been
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah.
How big of a foot do you need? Like,
Well, I mean, all these basketball players,
I mean, to be fair, he's like 8 feet tall, so
yeah, he is 7 foot 1 inch, 325 pounds, and a size 22.
crazy.
Yeah.
Big dude.
So so a big foot is Shaq. Shaq is Bigfoot. We figured it out. We don't need to go any further. Done. See y'all next week.
Yeah, so there's a museum outside of Washington in Canada, and it's a Sasquatch museum. And I'm like, okay, we don't actually know that it's real. We don't actually have any evidence that it's real, but we have a whole museum. So I was like, what could they possibly have there?
Yeah.
They have like a cast of like footprints, but also there was one that said these are, what was it? These are items believed to be handled by a Sasquatch, and it was like one was some foil looking kind of to-go thing, and it was all bent up, and then there was like some Tupperware and stuff, and I'm like, okay. Okay.
Did they find like hair on it, or I can understand like a fence that maybe had a crossing
Yeah.
and they would snag, and you would get hair, but
And there's been some of that.
yeah, but now that we have DNA testing,
Yeah,
probably the biggest is the video from the 50s. It's real grainy and
Yeah.
Was it the Freeman?
yeah, probably.
Or something like that?
I've seen
Yeah.
several documentaries on it and stuff, and of course, I think that one always comes up whenever the hunters are on and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chupacabra, goat sucker or sucks goats,
Yep.
is a legendary creature,
I told you. Yes,
also known as a cryptid.
these are the random facts that I keep in my head.
Yeah, it's primarily known in the southwestern United States and Mexico and Puerto Rico of today. There he is,
He's a crazy looking little alien guy. He's like
the chupacabra.
looks like a giant.
So that is a small.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say it's like
It's like the size of a goat. Like
yeah,
it's,
where did I see the size?
like a Tasmanian devil look size, kind of.
Because I was gonna say,
3 to 4 feet long, or 3 to 4 feet tall. So
I think a lot of times it's like a hairless coyote whenever they see it, like something that has mange
Yeah.
or, because when
they
something
say
gets
that
mange,
is
it
a
gets
chupacabra.
pretty
Yeah.
funky
mangy
looking.
There's a live shot.
I know there was some like where they had found bodies,
Hairless
but that's
dog.
literally what it was a hairless dog that had, they did DNA testing and they're like, oh, it's a canine.
Yeah.
It was just really deformed.
My grandmother, that we've talked about several times, had a hairless schnauzer. I used to tell her all the time, Grandma, that's the ugliest looking dog ever. And she used to like hail back and like whack me because I called her dog ugly. But
Call her dog the devil dog.
I mean, it was, if you would just see it, you'd be like, now as small as a schnauzer, so it wasn't like it was going to, but it was literally like black leather with a couple of hair. Like, she
That's
was
gross.
ugly. Bambi. And it was named Bambi
That
to
is-
boot.
That is not.
Bambi. The ugliest dog. Like, they have those ugliest dog contests.
Yeah.
The tongue's always sticking out, cockeyed and stuff like that. This was one ugly. You couldn't tell it was a schnauzer. I mean, you literally couldn't. But you couldn't tell Grandma was ugly because that was her baby.
no, yeah, I've watched some of the footage and stuff on the sightings. I mean, they're not compelling.
Well, there was the one video of something like running in an alleyway. It was like caught it a couple times. It was very alienish. I want to say
No.
it came out. Do you remember that one? It was like
yeah,
7, 8
there's been
years
a
ago.
few that those that are more in urban environments.
Yeah, that was more of a jump scare.
are a little
kinda,
bit more.
But they were calling it.
I don't know. They're a little bit more clear. I guess they're not so grainy. All the forest footage and forestry areas, they're all so grainy, and because it's all night vision stuff. But some of the urban sightings, so to speak, or in like little towns just outside the mountains or something up there, those seem a little bit more questionable, but also possible.
Probably too good of editing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. There was some of those you watch back and you're like, man, that was just perfect timing to be able to catch that. And it's like, I guess, I don't know, it's possible. I think there's probably also a lot of people that dress up and go out there and like hit trail cams.
I think that
Just
would be
kinda keep the
harder
legend
now.
alive.
I think that would be harder now with the quality of film we have now.
I don't know.
Back
all you
in
need
the
is
day,
like a Chewbacca suit and
yeah, but I mean,
just run out there and let out a little guttural yell and
yeah,
call it a
I
day.
feel like though our technology, like we can zoom in better now with this stuff, so I think that would be harder now.
I don't know. Even as soon as you start to zoom, it
Yeah.
gets pretty grainy pretty quick,
On purpose.
especially at night too.
You'd have to have a really good shot, but if you had a really good clear shot during the day, you can zoom pretty far on today's camera. I mean, at least if you have an Android.
See, that's what I want. I want more day shots. Like if we're gonna truly back
That's not
this
when
up.
they're out though.
Oh, I know, but come on. Like nocturnal creatures, I get, but they're still roaming during some early morning light. Like there ought to be a way to get a little bit more accurate picture than like 1 a.m. Completely dark, grainy shot.
I saw a pretty good one that was during the daylight. Pretty good video.
So that's the kind of thing we need to evaluate.
On Bob Gimlin. He's a cryptozoologist.
Oh yeah, those are the guys.
What?
He
I gotta look at
has
that.
a YouTube
What is
channel.
a cryptozoologist?
They specialize in cryptids.
So mythical creatures,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
They try to determine the validity of mysterious animal sightings.
And he has a YouTube channel. And
Is he a skeptic or is he a believer?
Well, I'd say he's got to be a believer.
I mean, he seems like a
why else would you want to be a
he seems
Well,
like a
but I mean,
believer,
like-
but not like a
Doesn't believe them all. Like,
He's not like a whack job.
yeah.
He's not one of these guys that like hides in his basement
He
and
more
he's
or
like
less takes
worships them.
From what I've seen, takes like the videos and is like, this is the definition of this. This is why we think, whatever.
Does he
But
ever debunk anything though?
I've not gotten that deep into his stuff. I've watched him on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But-
See, if you're not willing to debunk almost everything
that's
before
where I
you're,
was getting.
then
yeah.
to me it's like okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's where I saw the really good daytime video was on one of his videos.
I think most cryptozoologists who call themselves that are probably some sort of scientist background.
Yeah.
And they try to go into it looking to prove that these things exist. And
Well, a lot of people get obsessed with the legend.
Yeah,
So that's why they do that.
yeah,
It's like the people that keep trying to prove, what's that? I don't know, the pirate that apparently his ghost still walks one of the islands in
Blackbeard?
Yeah,
Captain Cook?
something like that. I don't know. but-
Captain Hook.
Captain Hook. Well, no,
Captain Cook.
I thought you said Captain Hook. I was like, we proved that was real with Peter
Yeah,
Pan. Okay, like Disney nailed that one. But no, I
I think there was a real Captain Hook, though.
I'm sure there was.
I'd believe it.
It's probably a nickname.
But one
But,
of the theories is okay, so I don't know if you remember any of this, but NASA announced magnetic portals are probably real, and they were doing. Don't look at me like that.
Todd's like, yeah.
And it's like portals. Like I think what they were talking about was they're around the Earth, and then it can somehow transport you to like the sun's atmosphere.
Where you instantly die.
I don't know.
Super
Anyway,
convenient.
it's above my head, but one theory is that they think that Bigfoot is an alien using these portals to another dimension, which is how and why he disappears so quickly.
Now we've
And
reached
there's
the ancient aliens.
and there's no
Yeah.
bodies.
Category.
Yeah, that's one of
I've
the
also
theories.
recently heard that aliens are us from the future.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty prevalent theory.
Well, see, now those are the theories to me that someone just got so bored or so tired of not being able to prove anything, they just came up with something that's almost unprovable. Like, yeah. So you think we're aliens from the future that have come back?
No,
to-
aliens are us from the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like visiting us.
Okay.
Us from the future.
And we're in
a
like
simulation.
future
Yeah,
humans.
you mean just the continued evolution of?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
from the past, like I mean, we could have had technology that was way more advanced, and then a natural disaster happened. So it could have been us trying to leave the planet before that happened, and then coming back and checking on it.
Yeah, it's the descendants of the Atlanteans coming back to or forward, not back.
See, I mean,
Yeah,
again,
I
don't
love
know.
a good conspiracy
I don't know.
theory.
That was a good snap. I
again,
liked
it's
your
something
snap.
like, how in the world could you ever begin to prove that? So let's
You don't
let's
have
say
to prove it for it to be
that's,
true.
Well, that's the point. I think
My
that
former self will let you know. In
I was just saying, when are you going to come down and tell me that's true?
my new self,
To me, that'll just always be a
I'll
theory.
speak to you in a dream today.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Did you see the article
Please
about
do not.
that? There was an article that came out the other day that they scientifically recorded and proved communication in a dream between two people that were hooked up to all kinds of sensors. Crazy stuff. I only like
Interesting.
half read it, so I can't really give you a whole lot on it.
Now,
but-
see, I'm more likely to believe something like that than I am aliens or us in the future coming back to visit us.
That's like the least crazy theory
The aliens
about
the-
aliens.
No,
There's a lot.
That we
crazy
could have
ones.
developed technology that could have taken us to other planets in the past, and then a natural disaster
well, sure.
wiped
I mean,
it out.
time
and we-
travel's always. I mean,
I'm not
it's
talking
always
about
been
time
a thing.
travel. I'm talking about they've been living on a different planet that they found. and then they just come back to Earth, and they were like, well, let's see how this is going.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could see that, but I think it's just a
not
lot more likely that
Crazy.
there's just other planets with life on it that have evolved just like us. I
Definitely.
think that's
Time
a lot
is so
more
much
likely.
slower on that planet that when we come back,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like it's a lot more likely that there are plenty of other planets out there that, have life that we haven't even discovered from different universes, and that's a lot more likely than
to believe
That.
we are the higher evolved, more knowledgeable species.
I think that's accurate because you can only interpret what your brain can
There's
handle,
got to
right?
be people smarter than us out there because we are
mean,
not
Well,
very smart.
it's like the innocent until proven guilty theory. You can kind of apply it to that. We don't know any better.
We've
So right
al-
now, we think we are the highest intelligence.
To think we are.
We've already identified,
Yeah.
factually identified hundreds of planets in the Goldilocks zone out in the
I mean, we're
universe.
made of the most common elements in the universe. To think we are the only
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
carbon formed
There's got to be other stuff out
Yeah.
there. There has to be.
and smarter.
Hey y'all, this is Tyler with your real estate tip of the day. When you're prepping to list your house for sale, everyone knows the inside should be clean, decluttered, and presentable. I mean, you're going to have professional photos done. A lot of people are going to come and visit. Everyone's going to see it. But did you ever consider that curb appeal? The exterior is the first thing any buyer is going to see, so you best be sure that you make it shine. Trim the bushes, add fresh mulch, knock down the spider webs around the windows, and for God's sakes, mow the dang lawn. Putting all of that weekend's work into that yard, it's going to go a long way towards impressing a buyer. And as always, if y'all have any other real estate related questions or topics you'd like us to cover, shoot us an email over at holler@yarpod.com. It statistically makes no sense that
Maybe.
we're the only ones.
Maybe, or they could be a hell of a lot dumber. So I mean,
Could be.
it just
Very
depends
could
on
be, but it'd be
the
hard
evolution,
to do.
if you will.
It'd be hard to beat how dumb we are.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
our
pretty smart.
modern civilization is only 3,000 to 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
So, could you imagine a planet that's had a successful surviving civilization that has not had any major disaster
For thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
years.
10, 20,000
I mean,
years?
They killed
We
each
went
other a
from-
long time ago.
We went from making tools with sticks and stones to flying
In a-
rockets up into the atmosphere and
heartbeat.
then landing it back down on the.
Yeah.
With tongs.
Yeah. Giant
Caught it.
tongs, yeah. Mecha-
it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would tend to think it's pompous or arrogant, I guess you could say, to think we are the smartest. But until we've seen something smarter or better or more, evolved.
Probably already have, but
Well,
they were like,
yeah, they aren't going to tell us about it if they've seen it.
Yeah. We could go down that rabbit hole
Yeah,
all
we-
day.
And see, now that is one that I think would be cool, like the Area 51 stuff. Like, what really do we know?
Kecksburg UFO.
Well, anyway, have you guys heard of Mothman?
Yes.
Mothman. I've heard. I don't know what.
I went down this rabbit hole
Uh-oh.
Really?
one time. Yeah.
I've heard of it. But what is
Movie,
it?
it's in West Virginia. Yeah.
They've got the statues and stuff
Oh.
out there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The bridge. Yep.
Yeah, it's coming
Disaster.
back to me a little bit.
Yeah, so it was November of 1966. There were two couples that were driving through Point Pleasant, West Virginia, at night, and they saw a winged, red-eyed creature that looked like a human, but it was about 10 feet tall. They fled the area, and the local newspaper reported the sighting. And then almost exactly a year later, the bridge collapsed. And so then it
No.
became, and 46 people died. It was like a huge
Oh, that's
bridge.
bad.
Bad.
Never mind.
It was
Sorry.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, It
Sorry.
was really bad.
And so then he became known as kind of a
So
bad
now he's
omen.
wanted for
Harbinger of doom.
Yeah.
collapsing a bridge.
Yeah.
Well, there's your proof, Todd.
Yeah.
Bigger, smarter, faster.
It happened in West Virginia, so it's got to be true.
Yeah. has
But
to
look
be.
look up the whooping crane.
The whooping crane. What am I about to see? I'm not going
I've
to
not
click
heard
on
this
the
one.
images.
It's a bird.
Oh, okay.
So there was a theory that
Oh,
it
yeah.
could be a crane.
That's not very big.
Okay. They actually get pretty big.
9 to 19 pounds. Extremely rare. Endangered.
There was another species of a crane. They had 2 crane species that they were thinking that may have gotten off of their migration path.
They could get up to a wingspan of 7 feet.
Yeah, they're big.
And as tall as a smaller human, around 4.5 to 5 feet.
And so they were saying, like, being in a car at night, whenever you're freaked out, maybe you could mistake that. Because the whooping crane, the other crane that they were saying...
That'd be so rare, though. There's only 50 roaming the country.
That's what they were saying. That one's more rare, so there was another crane species that they said it probably was. But that one just having the 2 red spots, like, on its face.
Their eyes red, or they have
Yeah, because that was... Or not their eyes, it's
never
the
mind.
red spots.
That was in 1950 or 40. There were around 20. Then in the 60s, there were around 50. Now they project it to be anywhere from 500 to 500,000. How do you go from, we know there's 20, now there's 50, now there's 500, maybe 500,000. I don't know.
That's
That's a big gap.
But yeah, everyone that made all these reports, it was always like the red eyes and the huge wingspan. And that's why I was saying, like, with the El Chupacabra, I was like, all of these seem to be like giant, but I guess there's a mythical creature that's not.
You also got to think, like, in that moment, at night, in a car, in a spooky environment, kind of a no lights, and you're the only light source.
Think about, like,
you're going to kind of freak out and exaggerate.
I had a 6.6 Plymouth, and the headlights weren't nearly as good as to this day. I mean,
yeah. That, I mean, I
driving
would
across the
think
bridge, I'm sure it was.
a lot of that comes from your adrenaline pumping, and you just, it's like, oh man, this thing was huge. It's like, no, it was just, it was a little goose on the side of the road. No, man, this thing reared up, and it was 8 feet, 9 feet tall.
And it was like up on top too. Like, this was like a steel frame bridge, right? If I remember right, and it had landed. It was up on the top.
We're gonna see if we can get some photos. Oh, they actually have a festival now.
Oh yeah,
the Mothman Festival.
It's a whole thing.
Well, there was the book and the movie, and was it Stephen King? I can't remember who actually wrote the book.
Okay, I've seen this stuff. Yeah, I've seen that image.
Yeah.
Wow, they are not playing. They've got statues. You're taking pictures in front of it. Michael Noss, Return of the Mothman book.
I forget when.
No, that's a movie.
Yeah,
Return of the Mothman. Wow. Okay, I totally missed that one. I do remember seeing that image though. See, when I think mythological creatures, though, I resort more to the standard, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster, that kind of stuff. This one, or the Chupacabra. I guess it's kind of like a Chupacabra.
You have a lot of local lore.
Oh yeah, lots of areas have things.
Yeah, like there's one in South Carolina. It's Lizard Man. It's like a swamp lizard man, and
Lizard Man.
Okay, so all of them can be a little silly, but honestly,
gross. That's not.
Lizard.
Yeah. All right, I'm done Googling for the day.
A little graphic.
But whenever you get into the like lizard men, I'm like, especially when there's like enormous crocodiles and stuff like that. I'm just not
to really be afraid
the swamp people.
I like the ones that they do on the like the Discovery Channel and History Channel with the. I mentioned him during the Josh Gates during the show that we did with JA, and that was the he goes to like Africa or South Africa, to a lot of these tribal communities where they actually have like not deities, but some of them are deities, some of them are more like a chupacabra or something. It's just a very localized legend, and they have very specific areas where they know it lives,
exactly.
And they go and investigate it. It's pretty cool to see that kind of stuff versus Lizard Man.
Well, it's exactly the same, but it's just.
But it's a lot more raw
different
down there.
Well,
here we have so much tech that everyone's like, oh, we would have captured it. Like I said, we would have captured it by now.
Like you said before, we're finding new tribes every year. Somebody's popping up that never been.
Think about that. Like, think about some of those tribes in the mountains of like Chile and down there where they're like they look out from a peak and they see a plane or a cruise ship going by.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what they
probably
think it is.
freak
Oh, yeah.
out.
They have a new god or a new local lore.
Yeah, they go back and tell that story, and they can't believe it's like the floating Isle of Lights or
That's
something.
how we
It's
feel
like,
when our alien friends are visiting.
that's true. Todd must get visited by aliens all the time.
I guess so.
He has them over for bourbon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be. I mean, it could even just be like different humans, maybe the Bigfoot thing. Another theory is like that he's a shapeshifter, but I'm like,
like
I'm like,
X-Men
that's
style,
convenient.
like mutant shapeshifter kind of thing.
yeah, that's convenient.
See, I don't that starts raising a lot of questions out there, like the
Well-
genetic mutation stuff.
The Indian lore for the skinwalkers would kind of fit that, but they're more of like take the shape of dogs and stuff. Like that's part of where the werewolf came from, is the native skinwalker.
Do you think there are people out there with like supernatural power? I mean, not like Superman style, but just have like some odd, I don't know, like telekinesis or anything like that. Just some of the stuff that the CIA even studies, like to try
I
and
don't
figure
know.
out, is this actually real? Could it actually happen?
I'm not buying it because I feel like people will do anything for money. I feel
That's-
like
that's what I
somebody
think.
would come out and be like,
In this
create
day
a
and age,
YouTube channel
yes.
off of it.
See, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like with TikTok and YouTube, someone would be like, "Look at what I can do." Now they'd be
We used
tracked
to
down
have
and
the
hunted
side
immediately.
shows. We used to have the freak shows. The
Yeah.
side shows.
well, that was like a bearded lady and like a.
people swallowing swords and sticking hooks in their nose and stuff, not
I think
Yeah.
not moving the table with their mind. Like
that would be crazy though if
There-
someone could do that.
there
But
were
if you
shows.
did that, you're definitely going to get snatched up by the government.
That's what I'm
and
saying, like,
studied and.
Do you think
poked
there
and
are?
prodded
Because
and-
maybe that's been found out and they've just put them in a basement and they're testing like nonstop. I mean, realistically, that's
say?
exactly what would happen.
Well, I know in the 60s there was this huge push by the government to try and identify psychic phenomenon. They spent
Like the
a
remote
ton
viewing?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
spent a ton of money and they
how
drug people out.
I was
You know,
gonna
I mean,
say
it was
little LSD.
yeah. I forgot what that operation the CIA did it. It came out. I mean, they released all their
I was just watching something
Redacted
pretty
things
recently
about
on it. But
Yeah, I can't remember.
CIA.
the good old days.
And they were trying to study all the extrasensory perception stuff. So I don't know what they ever.
It was very Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got recruited by the CIA. I'd be worried.
There's some of that stuff was pretty interesting, like the research on twins being able to feel the pain of their twin in another room if they poked them, and they would like hook them up to all these things, and you would see like heartbeat spots and stuff at the same time as they would pinprick them, or there was all kinds of crazy stuff they did.
No sleep.
Dude, have y'all ever been
Yeah.
to the CIA's website and looked at some of the
No,
Freedom of Information Act stuff?
I don't do that.
It
in my
is
spare time.
it is creepy.
I'd probably stay away from
Like
that.
here's one where they're testing stuff like what you're talking about,
Come in.
teleportation, different portals and stuff like that, where they actually have tested it somehow, and there's their findings, and they've got a PDF version that you can like download and read. This stuff's
Yeah.
weird. Like the stuff they get into up there, we have no idea what they're doing.
We would need like a whole day to go down that rabbit hole. We don't have that kind of thing.
They run experiments on telekinesis, psychokinesis, teleportation, quantum physics, leaping, which I guess is like that movie Jumper or whatever.
Looper?
Or Looper was that?
Looper.
Yeah, where he's like,
There's been a ton of movies.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those. Jumper is one too.
yeah, I think Jumper's one. Yeah, so I don't know, they're actually studying this stuff. I don't know, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't know.
Do you ever have someone just show up at it?
Yeah.
Well, have you all seen? I know it's on Facebook and stuff because when I actually do get on there and scroll, doom scroll or whatever they call it, have you all seen the one where it's on the red carpet and the lady disappears
Yeah, there's several like that.
behind?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, there are a couple where you watch it back and you're like, yeah, where in the world did she go?
There's several like that.
Because
Yeah.
it's like clear as day. They walk directly behind her and the camera's still there, and then that person never comes out the other side.
Glitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glitch. Yeah. Some people are like glitch
It's
in the
Matrix.
Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's some weird stuff out there.
It's the same as those, like, there's old photos from, like, the 30s and 40s
Somebody
where
looks exactly like
you've
that.
got somebody dressed like
through the family
like modern, or you'll have someone that looks exactly
who's the
like,
one that-
yeah.
holding the cell phone.
They've got a really good one out there.
And they're like travelers.
It's Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves has a insanely good one. It's like a Civil War lieutenant or captain or something, and then you see Keanu Reeves, and there is no way.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's no way it's a different person. These are these same people.
Yeah, they
Like
look identical.
John Wick, man. Yeah,
That's the problem with photo editing now.
he's back
It's
there
too,
kicking
See,
butt
that's
too.
the
too
thing. It's
good.
like I would look up some of the stuff, but then I'd be like, which ones are just
Yeah.
photoshopped and which ones
Now,
legit.
just like with conspiracy theories, it's funny what people pick and choose to believe, but then they won't believe.
Have you all seen the Mandela effect stuff?
Oh,
Like, have
God.
y'all gone down that rabbit hole? Have you seen
Very
the one that the
severely.
woman proved
The Fruit
correct?
of the Loom.
Yeah. How it used to have the little basket thing and Fruit of the Loom, and everybody else on the planet was like, we've never had it. And that's straight from them. And then she found the white T-shirt, like a little undershirt that she had that actually had it on the logo multiple
Because I would
ones,
swear
she
up and
posted
down
on
that
Twitter, and then they took it
had
down,
the
and it's
cornucopia.
been gone. Yeah, that stuff is crazy. So
Yeah.
it's like, are they? I mean, are they all doing? They're doing live testing against us.
yeah.
Like
Wouldn't be the
Fruit
craziest
Loops.
thing I've heard.
How do you think Fruit Loops is spelled?
LOOPS.
Well, I mean the whole
Oh.
thing. LOOPS. Yeah, well that's loops.
That wasn't the dispute.
Yeah. The dispute is fruit. Is it UI or is it two O's?
I remember UI.
It's two O's. It's always been two O's. Like just the little pieces of cereal in there for fruit.
I don't remember that one either way.
It's just crazy stuff. I like that
I wasn't
stuff.
a big
It's
cereal
fun.
eater.
Do it?
I wasn't a big cereal eater. I can't really weigh in on
Well,
that
I
one.
mean, there's all sorts
Yeah, I was a Lucky Charms.
of Lucky Charms guy. Just for the marshmallows.
Okay, so before we wrap it up, I know you've brought up the Loch Ness monster.
Oh yeah, Nessie.
A handful of times. What do you think that is? You think that's legit?
leftover dinosaur.
It's just still swimming out there like, help me.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. They've done some
Oh yeah, I remember
big research on
big
it.
research.
I think there is something. I don't think it's a dinosaur like everyone wants to lean towards. Apparently, a lot of people think it's just a giant like sea serpent. That's just like an actual big snake.
Squid.
Yeah, so, or some people think it's like a squid that's become naturalized to freshwater because it's a freshwater lake, right?
I'm not
think
100%
so.
Loch Ness.
sure
Yeah.
on the lake.
Let's see. 'Cause I'm
But I've
pretty
seen
sure it's
several.
freshwater.
I know it's big.
I've heard they think it's an eel, just an oversized eel. I mean, crocodiles,
Yeah, I was
they
saying
live to be
eel's a
like
popular one.
over 100 years old. I mean, they
Yeah.
live for freaking ever. So
Yeah, Loch
maybe
Ness is
there's an eel.
It's a deep freshwater loch and is the largest by water volume in Scotland. So yeah, I mean it's very deep, very very deep. So I've heard the eel one as well. I mean I think there's got to be. I mean we're still finding massive things in the ocean.
We have no idea about anything underwater,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like a fraction.
Yeah.
They're finding have you all ever seen that show River Monsters?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, that's just indicating some of the size of the fish. I mean, there's not actual monsters. He does some kind of interesting side stories with that, but yeah, I mean, there's freshwater fish and monsters, if you will, that we don't even know, like that are down there, and some of those rivers, like in Africa and the Amazon and stuff like that. There's massive creatures in there.
I was watching The Unexplained with William Shatner the other day.
Yeah.
That they get into all of this.
That's good.
And they were talking about the undiscovered things in the ocean and
Yes.
the potential of the Kraken, because they're like, we have giant squid and we have no idea the capacity for their growth. We might have a 120-foot thing. I mean, we have whales that reach that already.
There's sharks. What is it? Greenland
Yeah,
sharks?
I think
or
they're
something?
misidentified though. I mean, we would have found a body. I think floating
I don't
somewhere.
know.
Not that deep.
There's
Yeah,
only
but
been like 2 or 3
Low top.
times ever where we've recorded on video a giant squid, and it's not the greatest quality. And then we've got there's only a few times ever that we've had bodies, and they were like the biggest was like 50 foot, but they don't know.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That's massive.
they're huge.
Small.
That shark that they found in the, what is it? Is the Arctic? It's south, right, or is that Antarctic? can't
Antarctic is
In-
down.
Okay,
yeah.
so Antarctic is down. Yeah, they were down there, and I think they call them Greenland sharks or something. These things they move super slow because the water's so cold down there, and their heartbeats are super low. But they've been around. They live up to like 500 years old, and they're massive. I'm like, that's something that they just discovered, and they're like, it starts adding some credence and some validity to stuff like the Kraken or the Megalodon. Now, I don't think the Megalodon is as big as we see in the movie, right? But I'm sure there were at some point there was probably a shark that was bigger than a great white.
Well, they know because they have megalodon jaws, and
Yeah,
you can
right.
measure it out from the teeth and the jaw
Yeah, now,
structure.
was it the one like with what's his name, Hollywood Eyes? No, that'd be like Godzilla coming out of the ocean.
I mean,
And
it was,
Todd goes, Godzilla's one.
it was pretty much that. Like those things, the actual true megalodon were huge.
They're big.
Like
yeah.
you could put a person and stand them in the jaws
In the entire jaw. Yeah.
and still have room.
Yep.
Like, could you imagine a mouth big enough to just?
No, thank you.
Well,
eat
see,
you in
if
one-
I was going to get attacked by a shark and be killed by a shark, that's the one. Just
Yeah.
take me all at once.
I don't
One
know.
bite.
Yep. Just be done with me.
You better hope that it actually bites you, or you're just gonna get swallowed whole, and then you're just
Well,
that would
yeah.
Island justice
Just
system.
let me have that.
I think we have a whole book on that.
Now we're talking about like suffocation in a shark belly or something. That'd be
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stomach acid poisoning.
No,
Oh
thank you.
god. Oh god. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Why, Tyler?
I think
That's how
All right. Yeah.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Meggie. We'll call it Meggie.
Well, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to check out our YouTube page and subscribe, like, rate, comment,
Do all the things.
follow us on social media. See you all next week.
Peace.
See you guys.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. If you or someone you know is thinking about buying or selling real estate in East Tennessee, email us at holler@yarpod.com. You can also reach Brittany Hawkins at 423-270-9572, Todd Huber at 865-456-0101, Tyler Letner at 865-816-0076, and Nick Cantey at 865-250-5167. Our office at Wallace Real Estate can be reached at 865-584-4000. Make sure to ask for YARPod. See y'all next week.